Thank you.
I wonder if you could take us through why come back?
There's a lot of reasons. One, I became a hero in my household. In fact, my wife and family are really excited that I'm coming back. But it just, when leaving, it kind of had mixed feelings about leaving, and then having the opportunity to come back, it just made all the sense in the world, and was really happy when Thad had talked to me about coming back. Like, I couldn't get here quick enough. So it was great.
Thad said that you guys talk fairly regularly, so it wasn't like a call out of the blue. Did you have to think about it long, or what was the process like deciding to officially come back?
It was a quick decision. You know, Thad asked me if I'd be interested, and I immediately said yes. And he was like, well, where is your interest? I'm like, I'll walk there if you want me to. So it was a quick decision, and just really happy, you know, feel very much at home. So it's really looking forward to it, for sure.
I think there's some lifestyle differences probably between coaching in the NBA and certainly coaching in the D-League and then coaching in college. And I'm sure college is probably a little more demanding in some respects. Just why take that challenge back on and maybe leave a coaching job that allows you to have a little more time to yourself maybe?
Well, it's just a different job. You know, there's the same demands. They're all demanding. And it's just that coaching in college is a different capacity. And one coach has said to me when I came here previously, and he said the one thing he enjoyed about college coaching is you wear many hats. You know, you have like 7 hats a day. You're a counselor, you're a recruiter, you're a coach, you're a parent, you know, all those things. And I appreciate that about college coaching. So I look forward to those challenges and the type of job that is college coaching.
You know, one thing you didn't have to do when you were in the NBA and D-League was recruit. I'm just curious how it was getting back on the road. I think you were back on the road this past weekend. Just what that was like for you.
I like that part of it. You know, it was good. It's fun to, you know, as you talked about, you kind of get to be your own GMs as coaches in college. Now, obviously, you don't always get the guys you're looking to get, but it allows you to be an individual as a coach too. You look for different qualities in a player that, you know, another coach on the staff might. So it's a really good part of the job, and it's obviously has more to it than just going and observing. It's got a lot more layers, but it's a fun part of the job.
Going off that, was there anything that you learned from maybe your first stint here, recruiting-wise, that you think might help you now that you started back here again?
For sure, you learn the trade itself. You know, there's a process to it. There's a way to go about it. So, having had that experience previously, you kind of know exactly what you're getting into. Whereas before, everything was kind of new. You know, I was just kind of exploring, asking the coaches step by step. But now, I know what works for me, and I have a game plan. So it makes it a lot easier in that respect.
And just kind of building off of that, we talked about the recruiting, but how do you feel that you're different as a coach now than your first time around here at Ohio State?
That's a good question. I know that I'll be a better aid for Coach Matta having been a head coach last year, because you know, you talk about how you feel, and I only had that interim job with Orlando as a head coach previously to that job last year. So you really respect the position and all the demands that go into it. Even though it's a different league, you really see what all that goes into that job, and it's a tough one, you know. So I know I can help him, but I also, having coached different individuals along these 3 years of travel, I know I'm a better coach and a better communicator. And also stuff on the court. You know, I have more of an opinion in certain areas. So I've certainly grown over the last 3 years.
You mentioned being a head coach, being an asset now as an assistant. You're actually not the only former head coach on the staff now, but are there going to be any challenges for you in that regard, going back into an assistant role after serving as a head coach?
No, it's not. Coach Matta runs a show, and that's fine. I'm here to help him. I'm here to help the program, the university. So that won't be a problem. And Coach Matta is great. Like, he gives you a lot of responsibilities, and he allows you to grow as a coach day to day, which is another reason why it was so easy to come back.
Chris, I'm curious, obviously you had your own stuff going on, but I know Thad said you guys keep in contact. How familiar were you with what was going on here, and what do you see moving forward here with the state of the program as you return?
I was well aware of what was going on. Coach and I started talking a lot after my situation changed in Sacramento, just as a friend reaching out and kind of opened that line of communication. So we've been talking pretty frequently throughout that last year. What I see is opportunity. I see a group of guys here that with their commitment and their focus, hopefully last year's a motivation moving forward. And so I see a lot of opportunity for the people that are here and also for those that are going to come in the future.
When we talked to Thad last week, he said he hadn't exactly sat down and decided who's going to coach what part of the team, offense, defense, things like that. He said that was going to come Monday. What do you know, or what will your role specifically be on the staff? Do you know yet?
No, we'll discuss it, and I know that Coach has confidence in all of us, and we'll feel comfortable in whatever role he puts us in. So we haven't discussed it much, but it'll be defined, and we'll attack those positions and our duties the best we can.
I think a lot of us, when we think about your coaching tenure, we think about the offensive end of the game. And when Jeff Bowles left, he was known for looking over the defense. I wonder where you feel you are as a defensive coach.
Yeah, I can coach both sides of the ball, and it's I like to think of myself as a basketball coach, pretty well-rounded. So, whatever we do, I've had some great experiences both trying to apply things I thought were important to the defensive end, but also I've played and coached with a lot of very good coaches in that side of the ball.
I know last time when you left here, one of the things that you had said was it was tough to get used to only having a certain number of hours, that you would like to have more time to instruct guys. What sort of challenge is that going to be, again, having to deal with, there's limits on how much interaction you can have, how much time you can spend on the court. What's that challenge going to be like, adapting to that again? Just
really have to maximize it. There has to be a great focus and intent when you get on the court. There can't be any wasted time. You don't have time to get loose, and you have to get after things as soon as you step on the court, and there has to be a certain level of intensity every day that you get out there so you maximize the time that you have.
I don't know how much you've been able to familiarize yourself with the roster, but when you were here, the team was very good offensively. The last 2 years, they've seen dips and weren't that good in some stretches. I'm just curious, when you look at the team you have, do you see a lot of room for growth offensively? Do you see maybe guys who have a high ceiling who haven't quite gotten there yet?
Yeah, that's college, right? Trying to reach your potential, and that's step-by-step process. And having guys understand what they need to be and how they can best help their team is a progression. It takes a little bit of time. And how teammates interact and react to one another out on the floor, oftentimes when you're together for a certain period of time, you get better. And I think that's what's going to happen. We can look forward to next season. These guys are going to have a whole summer, again, of being together and working together, and that should produce growth at both ends of the floor.
And you obviously weren't here, but they lost some players, and Coach Matta's message has sort of been moving forward with guys who want to be at Ohio State. You're obviously a guy who wants to be at Ohio State. Just what does it do for the program when there are people invested in the success of this university? You
have to understand that there's a lot of things much larger than you as the individual. And certainly this university is much larger than anyone in this room, anyone on that court. And once you embrace that and understand that you're not only playing for your team, but your school, your university, you play different. You play a different style of basketball. And I expect that everyone that is going to step on that court will play with that type of pride.
Just wonder what sort of goals you have as you get your feet wet here and start to familiarize yourself with being back. What do you hope to accomplish?
I want to attack every day. I really want to help this program every day. And whether it be recruiting, having a conversation with one of the guys, helping them understand their academic responsibilities, whatever it might be, I want to make sure I'm trying to do my best every single day to get that 1960, get some company up there on the wall, and that was the motivation when I got here previously, and that's certainly the motivation this time around as well.
Thad had mentioned that you were recruiting Jakesean Tate before you left here. Are there any other guys on the team now that you have any sort of previous relationship with?
Yeah, I had, I was involved with Tate, and actually Jakesean, I was like the first guy to go see him play in Evansville. So all the guys, Cam, I had met. I wasn't active in his recruitment, but got to know him a little bit. So it's kind of neat Like all the guys that are here, and David Bell as well, all those guys that are here, I knew previously, and I think that's going to help us moving forward.
Chris, I just wanted to ask you, when it was finalized and all that, what was the reception like the first time you met with the guys? And you mentioned the guys that you knew, but what was that kind of reception like the first time you got back with them and it was kind of for sure that you were going to be back as an assistant coach?
It was great. You know, obviously knowing the guys a little bit it made it easy, but I think they're excited. They know what I'm about. So I think they were excited, and I think it was obvious that I was happy to be in the room. So, yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Hey, Chris, at this level of college, you know, a lot of these guys have aspirations of going pro. With your experience in the NBA and the D-League, how can your experience of what you know how to play there transpire to college kids who want to aspire to that level? Yeah,
I think it helped a great deal. Not especially, but all those experiences and seeing it on every level, that being in the D-League and seeing the difference. What is the difference between an NBA player and a D-League player? And it's not all on the court. You know, a lot of it has to do with maturity, how you handle yourself, how hard you work, you know, all the things, the intangible things that kids may not see or want to improve, but they play a huge part in your development and growth. So I think that those experiences will weigh heavy and have already weighed heavy, even the previous time that I was here, and trying to help these players get to where they want to be.
What do you like working with Thad? What is it about Thad that you enjoy, I mean, now in the second stint?
Where do I start? I mean, first of all, he's one of the best people I know. And when your boss is genuine, and I don't care where you go, any recruiting you do, anywhere you go around the country, one thing is always said, that Thad Matta is a great guy. And to add to that, he's as good of a basketball coach. And to match those two things, it's a special deal. Like, there's no mistake. There's no, you know, it's not by luck that he's been so successful. It's because of his ability to coach the game, relate to young men, to help them grow, and his quality of person. Like, he's a genuine guy. And it's great to be back working with him. His sense of humor, you know, he makes it's fun. It's fun and enjoyable, and you also learn and get better as a professional.
You were known, you know, back in your playing days to have that intensity. I mean, you've talked about that. Is that, as an assistant coach and on the staff, is that what is it you want to bring to this group that you're getting back with here? Yeah,
I hope to bring a lot, and I'm going to bring intensity. I mean, and I'm going to bring an expectation of pride, of school, and a level of play. So the way I played, I don't coach the same way outwardly, but inside and when we're in the practice gym, I make my message pretty clear. And it's nice that Coach allows us to voice those opinions and have some freedom as assistant coaches.
Kind of further down the line, I suppose, when you were announced as the new hire, there was assumption out there is that you could be the next head coach in waiting. And I don't want to throw out too much ahead of time, but I just wonder if that's something that crosses your mind at all, if that's anything that you talk with Thad about, that like, hey, I want to be a head coach again, and you know, maybe this is my opportunity down the road. Is that something on your radar at all?
Well, I don't think there's any coach in the country, maybe not any coach, but to say that you wouldn't want to be the head coach at Ohio State, I mean, I don't think there's too many people that say, no, I wouldn't want to be the head coach at Ohio State. But my job is to help Thad Matta and to get better in every facet of the college game, you know, with recruiting and every other area that it represents. So I'm here to get better, and I'm here also to help the program succeed as it has in the past. So whatever happens in the future, it happens. Our goal right now is to get these guys ready to have a great season next year.
I just wonder how much of Ohio State have you watched since you've been gone? Do you catch every game, most games? I know travel and such, you know, probably couldn't watch them all, but how much have you been able to watch the last 2-3 years?
I've watched more in the past few days that I've been here that I did all year. I mean, I was totally consumed with my team in Bakersfield, and I would try to watch when I could, but I was watching D-League, and if I wasn't watching our team play, I was watching other D-League games, just because that was what I needed to be concerned with. I watched a lot more the year before when I wasn't with Sacramento Kings, and that situation happened. I had time, so I was always tuned in to Ohio State, as was my wife and girls by the TV.
Did you get a sense at all from just talking to Thad that this past year weighed on him any differently, or that this was kind of a tough year? Because, I mean, he stopped wearing the tie. He, talked to us about how this team frustrated him, I think, in some different ways. Did you get a sense in your conversations with him that this was a tough year for him?
He was pretty relaxed. He was pretty relaxed. I think Coach has a great understanding of what was going on around him. And he's just trying his best to make things work, right? You're just trying to make the best of the situation you have. And I feel like when we were talking, he was okay with it. He's obviously had it was a little bit of stress, obviously, trying to deal with some issues, but he was addressing them and trying to get it to work. And I feel as though he felt confident in the staff and himself in moving things forward. So he wasn't like out of character, so to speak. He was still Thad.
I'm curious. We've talked a little bit about how you're different, your second tenure here. I'm wondering how you feel the program, the school, is different now than when you were first here.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a different situation, and every team is a different situation, obviously. But this is very different from when I walked in the first time. Everything's rolling along. You've got some senior leadership. You've got one of the best players in the country. So yeah, it's a different job. But every year, again, is a different task. And they all have their challenges. Just because that team may have been more a larger, group, it had its challenges, and you still have to make those work. So yeah, for sure, it's definitely a different situation.
In addition to that, I mean, Thad builds teams over the course of the season, but he's trying to build a program over the course of his tenure here. And I'm wondering if you've seen Ohio State take steps in that aspect, building up to being a great program. Have you seen that?
Well, I see a great program. I've seen that he's done that, and I see how the university has helped us improve that. The facilities we're sitting outside of are incredible. So they've aided this program into being as successful as possible, and Coach Matta has built a program. And you're not gonna be outstanding every year. It doesn't matter what school you are. It's what do you do in moving forward, and how do you continue to grow. But I don't see Coach having any, he doesn't have a view of not trying to keep things going to the highest level we can possibly do it. That's the challenge. That's a challenge. And now today's kids sometimes want that quick gratification, but it's a grind. You have to work and you have to earn it. So I think the program's there. The program's built, and he gets an awful lot of credit for that, as he should.
My last question, if you don't mind. You talked about how any coach, this would be a great job for them if they could get the head coaching job here. Given your background, I just wonder if it would be fair to describe the head coaching position at Ohio State as your dream job, ultimately.
Oh yeah, being a student athlete that wore scarlet and gray, and I like to think left everything on the court every time out there. The school pride is a very unique and special thing. And when you have it and it means something to you, yeah, it's incredible. And I think the most important thing that I think our teams took away when I was here is the relationships, right? It was the team, the locker room, and the fact that right now I can pick up any guy I played with and we can have a conversation like we've been talking every day for the past 10 years. And that's what matters. And when you feel that and you live it and you show it every day, I think it's contagious. So yeah, I mean, for sure.
Thad's obviously got a pretty good relationship with LeBron, and I know obviously your paths have crossed a little bit in the past. Being back here in Ohio, have you heard from LeBron at all? I wonder if he's excited that you're back here at all, or I guess if you had any conversations with him.
It's the first year I haven't talked to Bron. So hey, Bron, if you're out there, what's going on? I haven't talked to him this year. I saw him last summer, and this is the first basketball season since we were working together, in Cleveland. I haven't talked to him, so I don't know. I'm sure he's happy. He loves Ohio State, and we have a good relationship. Even though we haven't talked, it's kind of one of those things where we see each other tomorrow. It's how you doing? Everything's good. So I'm sure he's happy.
And what kind of benefit is that to the program? I mean, Thad's talked about it, but another tie to a guy like that. What does that do? What benefit is that to this team? What benefit is that to this program to have ties to a guy like LeBron?
Well, I mean, it's great. It's obviously great, him being an Ohio guy, and again, he didn't attend the university, but he sees it as what it should be seen as, and that's a great institution. And I think you have to take that away from it, that pride in state, pride in school, and even though he didn't attend, it's kind of that aura that Ohio State has, and I think a lot can be taken from that. But even moving beyond that in a basketball sense, you have to, as a player here, look at Bron and see the type of person he is. And because he's attracted to the program and the university, you got to try to uphold a certain level of play, a certain level of commitment, because he's such a committed athlete, I think. And I think it's great for schools, especially Ohio State, to have someone like that vested in the university.
Are you recruiting his son yet?
I don't know. I don't know. No, not. But he's always got a home.